Hi, this is Father Bill Kessler, day 2 of my pilgrimage in Israel. Today we have visited the home of St. Peter and a few other places. The journey has been going very well. I'm sitting on the bus and we're getting ready to head off to other places. So please continue to watch as we continue our journey together through the Holy Land. Thanks for watching. So glad that you could be with me as I journey with Jesus Christ to the land in which He initiated our life, our faith together. More to come. See you at the next destination.
Here we are at the site of Capernum. This is the place where Jesus spent time with Peter and the other apostles. What you're going to see here are the ruins that are all around that city as excavated by the Franciscans, who have dug into so much of the land around there that they were able to find things such as what you're about to see here, the synagogue that was there in the time of Peter. And this here is the land around that synagogue, and what you see right there right now is the Church of St. Peter. It's built like a turtle right above the house of St. Peter, which has churches, ancient churches, all around it. I'm actually standing in the synagogue, what would have been the synagogue, taking this video. This is the ruins of the Byzantine church that was found right underneath where the modern Church of St. Peter stands, the Church of the House of Peter, I think is actually the name of it. And it's a remarkable church. It is octagonal, you can see down there. The church above is a modern church. It was built in the 80s, and it's a fairly standard church. But what's neat about it, and you'll see this later, is there are ports to see down into the ruins, places where you can't get to, so you can see it from above. When I was here in 1998, I wasn't allowed to go in the church, so this was kind of a neat thing that I was able to do this trip that I couldn't do in the last trip. The scene that's coming up right now is the actual interior of the church. And we got to have Mass here. That's Father Bill Burton that you just saw, and these are members of a group that was just leaving. They had a full band with them. They had musicians, and it was quite an experience. They were able to celebrate Mass, and here's our group. There's my dad walking in. He's the guy in the red shirt who's going to try and hide now as soon as he sees me using the camera. What's coming up next is a small music group that I found and thought you might like to hear. The group's name was Amadeus. This chapel is the chapel at Tabqa. Tabqa means 7 in Arabic, and it is the place where Jesus took 2 loaves and 5 fish and turned it into enough to feed the multitude. That is a symbol of that. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread in a basket. And what you're going to see here are various ruins of this church. This church has been built and rebuilt a number of different times. And these are different scenes from that church. What you see here is the foundation to the Byzantine church from the 4th century. I love stuff like this. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't able to see through the glass, so I apologize about that. Next, what you're going to see here is something called a Nileometer. It's basically a depth gauge for the Nile River. The priest who was with us, Father Bill, explained to me exactly why that was in the church, but it was a symbol that spoke of the depth of God's love, and he could tell you better. And when he's here for our mission, I'll try and get him to explain that to me, and I'll probably post an updated version of it. This is a simple plaque that we found affixed to the outside of the church, and what it states is, Jesus said, "Bring the 5 loaves and the 2 fish to me." And they did all eat and were filled. The prayer is, Jesus, love incarnate, constrained to help me wherever he sees his children to be in want. But he waits for empty hearts and for hands stretched out, wherein he has many gifts. Here we are at the gates to the Church of the Primacy of St. Peter. This is the place that tradition tells us, and I apologize for the shaky camera work, but as we're walking down the hill here, I thought I'd try and do this. We'll see how well it turns out. You'll have to tell me if you get seasick. But this is just a path that leads to that church, the place where Jesus asked Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" And here is the actual church, right on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. Although not as close as it used to be, the Sea of Galilee has retracted quite a ways from its former the former distance that it used to fill up. The church actually used to sit right on the Sea of Galilee. Now, as you'll see here as I pan around, it's not quite as close. But you can see in the distance a boat out there, and you'll understand more about boats on the Sea of Galilee here in a bit. There are commercial fishermen out there, but that I'm almost certain, although I can't quite tell from here, but that looks like a pilgrim boat. This will be the inside of the church that you're going to see right now. And this is the place where Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times. And Peter said, "Yes, Lord." It's a beautiful, beautiful text that brings healing from Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, to say, "I love you," and truly mean it. The next scene is going to be a boat from the Sea of Galilee. This was found during one of the dry periods around the Sea of Galilee, and this is a boat that dates back to the time of Jesus himself, and it is quite a find. It's preserved wood that still has its shape, and you can kind of see what the boat probably looked like. The boat that you see there is the preserved boat that they found in the mud in the Sea of Galilee. Now here we are on the Sea of Galilee, and I'm going to shut up here in a bit so that you can hear what he has to say. But this is one of our guides on a boat, on a Peter boat, on the Apostles' boat, and he's showing us how to fish.
Folks, the fish in the Sea of Galilee only understand Hebrew words. So we count in Hebrew, okay?
Okay.
It's going like that. Echad, Shtayim, Shalosh. Let's do it again. Echad, Shtayim, Shalosh. Now for real. Echad,
Shtein, Shalosh. I'll leave that picture to you.
We're gonna have old tires and... Oh, no, that's right.
Father Bill, step out there and just see if you can walk on it.
Walk right. Walk on the water. I said I wasn't trying it. I like this. Whoa. Good one, Brown. Don't get on your knees, though.
You got some in there?
more fish on this side. We're trying the other side, right?
Starboard.
Got a camera?
Remember?
Every time he counted, I got water. I'm happy he's going out there.
I have a lot of faith. Do you really?
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Echad,
Shtein, Shalosh.
Oh, there you go.
I said shalom.
That's better.
Shalom just did it.
So we didn't have much luck with him throwing the net over, and you'll hear here in a bit what he says, but he says we'll have to do something else for lunch. We aren't going to get St. Peter's fish this day. The next bit that you're going to see I took because my cousin was brave enough to accept their offer to play drums. You'll see it here in a bit, but it's Mike McCarthy, who was recently on Lisa Hendy's Catholic Moments podcast for the book he wrote called The Sun Farmer. He was brave enough when they said, hey, if you'd like to play along with us as we do this song, here's the song.
This is the Jordan River, placed near where Jesus himself was baptized. What you see before you are baptismal sections where folks can enter the Jordan River to remind themselves of their baptism, or in some cases be baptized for the very first time.
And from the banks of the Jordan River, thanks for watching this edition of TechnoChurch, the Technopriest in Israel. More days to come. I have 7 more days of video to edit. As soon as I get it done, you'll see it. God bless you all.
SQPN, the best in Catholic podcasting.